Guaranteeing the safety of your employees is an important responsibility of any business owner. However, when accidents happen and employees are injured on the job, you'll need the proper insurance coverage to handle the claims. Let's talk about that. Hi, it's Kaitlyn from Berry Insurance. Whether you own a small business, large corporation, or if you're simply running a business by yourself,
oh, that would be me.
Having workers' compensation insurance is key for providing protection to you and your team. As most business owners will be required to have workers' compensation insurance to cover their business and its employees, it's important to understand each part of your policy. At Berry Insurance, we understand just how intricate workers' compensation policies can be, and that you likely have many questions. So in this video, you will learn: what is workers' compensation? What is and is not covered by workers' compensation? Who needs workers' compensation? How much does workers' compensation cost? How can I avoid being overcharged for workers' compensation? What is a workers' compensation audit? How do I file a claim for workers' compensation? Let's dive in. What is workers' compensation? Workers' compensation insurance covers medical payments and a portion of lost wages for employees who become injured or ill due to work-related causes. So, for example, if an employee gets injured lifting something heavy or slipping and falling on a wet floor, medical expenses and some lost wages would be covered by workers' compensation. In many states, like Massachusetts, businesses are required to have workers' compensation insurance for their employees. Without this coverage, employees could sue their employer for injuries or illnesses sustained on the job. What is and is not typically covered by workers' compensation? Workers' compensation provides coverage for many on-the-job injuries, but, as is the case with all insurance, is subject to certain conditions and exclusions. Here's what's typically covered: injuries to all employees regardless of hours worked, medical expenses, lost wages, ongoing care expenses, funeral expenses, treatment for work-related illness, repetitive injury care, disability benefits, employer liability. Here's what is not typically covered: small cuts, scrapes remedied by a first aid kit, injuries sustained outside the scope of work, injuries to individuals that are not your employees, out-of-state operations. Who needs workers' compensation? While business owners will often be required to have workers' compensation coverage for their employees, there are some situations where you might not know if the coverage is necessary. For volunteers, some workers' compensation policies will already cover them like an employee. Otherwise, you will need to get a separate policy called volunteer accident insurance.
I volunteer as tribute.
Workers' compensation covers all work-related claims, whether they occur in the office, while traveling, or at home, meaning remote workers will also need to be covered by your policy. However, this would only cover claims of the remote employee getting injured while specifically carrying out work-related tasks. For more information about workers' comp for remote workers, check out the article linked in the description below. You should also be providing coverage for any hired independent contractors or subcontractors that don't have their own insurance and are currently under your supervision, as they will be counted as an employee. As far as yourself, business owners and sole proprietors are not usually required to cover themselves on a workers' compensation policy. However, if you're a corporation, the owners and officers are automatically included in the coverage. But if you are an LLC or a sole proprietor, you, the owners, are excluded automatically, but you're able to opt into coverage.
She doesn't even go here.
At Berry Insurance, we recommend that all of our clients who are business owners have workers' compensation for themselves, as your health insurance may not cover work-related injuries, and you wouldn't have the benefits if you had to miss work.
What do you want?
I want you to have a great workers' compensation policy.
Want to learn more about workers' compensation for business owners? Check out this video. How much does workers' compensation cost? In states like Massachusetts, the cost of workers' compensation insurance is regulated, meaning that the rates are the same regardless of the insurance agent or company you choose to work with. However, the cost of the policy will vary greatly depending on the business and field. Unfortunately, as every business will be unique, we can't provide an accurate estimate for each business.
Super Weenie Hut Juniors.
But based on what we typically see for premium prices, annual workers' comp policies will range anywhere from $289 for a basic nanny policy to up to $100,000 or more for larger corporations with higher risk operations. When determining the cost of your policy, insurers will look at your industry business operations, total payroll, workers' comp limits, prior history of claims experience modification rating, additional coverages, whether owners, sole proprietors are included on the policy. How can I avoid being overcharged for workers' compensation? With inflation and prices on the rise, we understand that business owners will want to save money and make sure they're not overcharged for their workers' compensation insurance. These following tips are the best ways to ensure you won't have to overpay for your coverage. Number 1, prevent injuries. The most effective way to reduce workers' compensation costs is to prevent injuries in the first place. You can do this by implementing a safety plan, including risk identification and management, as well as ongoing safety training for all employees. Number 2, manage injuries after they happen. Since lengthy claims can raise the cost of your workers' comp insurance, have a set plan in place to return injured employees to work as soon as possible.
The Bikini Bottom OWS Worker Safety Guidelines.
This can include a light duty policy, which allows employees to return to work without having to do any strenuous duties that could aggravate their injuries. Number 3, know included versus excluded remuneration. Knowing what is and is not considered payroll or remuneration in terms of workers' compensation can help you make sure you don't overpay for your policy. Some included forms of payroll include wages, salaries, bonuses, PTO, sick pay. A few forms of excluded payroll include tips or gratuities, payment for active military duty, employee discounts on goods, work uniform allowances. Number 4, make sure your experience modification factor is correct. Your experience modification rating is a metric used to calculate a company's workers' compensation premium based on the number of claims and the claim costs over a 3-year period. Essentially, it portrays the risk of insuring or working with your company when compared to your competitors, sort of like a credit score but for workers' comp. Making sure this number is accurate can help ensure you don't overpay on your policy. Number 5, separate payroll when allowed. Employees that do multiple tasks as part of their job description will normally have workers' comp charge their entire payroll to the highest rated class code. But in some industries, like construction and agriculture, if the employer keeps detailed records of pay assigned to the different tasks the employee performs, they can separate that out. So if your employee's work isn't all assigned under the higher class code, it could save you some money on your policy. What is a workers' compensation audit? At the start of your policy, your workers' compensation premium will be estimated on your projected payrolls for the policy term. Your workers' compensation audit will determine the actual payroll you had on the policy term, based on what you provide your insurer once the policy expires. Your workers' comp audit is designed for you to not over or underpay for your coverages. Outside of your annual workers' compensation audit, you may receive notification of a test audit. Test audits are sent out by the state to businesses to verify the accuracy of audits of payrolls and other bases of premium on policies of workers' compensation insurance and employer's liability insurance. Essentially, the state is auditing the insurance carrier's audit process.
Yes, I double-checked everything.
To learn more about test audits, as well as 5 steps to help you through your workers' comp audit, check out the articles linked in the description below. How do I file a workers' compensation claim? When employees get injured on the job, it's important to act fast and collect detailed information in order to file a workers' compensation claim. When planning to file a claim, you will need name of employee, date of hire, wages or salary and job position, date and where the injury occurred, what the injury is, notes of any witnesses or emergency responders to the incident. When filing workers' compensation claims, we always recommend that employers report the claim directly to the insurance company first, rather than your agent. This, along with reporting the claims immediately after the incident, can help to prevent delays in your employee receiving workers' compensation benefits. After reporting the claim, your insurance company will assign an adjuster to take over and process the claim. You can expect them to reach out to you to gather additional information about the incident and your employee. Typically, minor injury claims are resolved quickly, while more complex claims could take months or even years to resolve. To learn more about the claims process and how you can stay prepared for when you need to file a claim, check out the article linked in the description below. When running a business, it's important to ensure the safety of your employees. But when accidents happen, having the right insurance coverage is the best way to guarantee you can cover every claim. Still have questions regarding workers' compensation insurance? Then check out our Learning Center on our website, linked below. Here you will find a bunch of articles and videos on many insurance topics, including workers' comp. Thank you for watching, and if you found today's video helpful, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We post videos like this every week to help educate our viewers about insurance. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.